Hello everyone, how's it going? In this video, we're going to talk about Mullen, trading under the ticker symbol MULN. Mullen has been a very exciting and interesting stock to cover recently, with a high volatility providing opportunities and many ongoing projects that might fuel the speculations in the months and years to come. At the same time, this is one of those companies that has a hard time proving to the market that it means business, it's a serious player in the field, and that people can trust their money within Mullen for the long term. So in this video, we're going to go through the latest fundamentals, the price actions, and my analysis and recommendation to hopefully help you making the best decision possible. As always, if you appreciate what I do, please consider to drop a like, subscribe to my channel, and check out the links in the description. Every contribution and every help would allow my channel to do better over time. So before we begin today's video, I'd just like to make a brief statement about what my video is about and what it shouldn't be. What is presented in this video are my opinion and interpretation on how things are and should be. They're not investment advice and should be watched for entertainment purposes only. They can help you make more educated decisions, but they shouldn't be used as the only thing to base your decision on. Most of my analysis is done in the immediate past or just a few days prior. So by the time that you see those videos, it's possible that the chart looks different. But those videos are used as momentum analysis tools, right? They are here to analyze the overall situation over the next few days and weeks even. So they will still be relevant. It's not because, it's not the exact pin bar that you're staring at that it's going to be different. Also, the analysis tries to cover the stock as comprehensively as possible, and it's going to talk about more factors than just the latest news or price actions. So for instance, the company's financials, the stock market trends, the long-term perspectives, and the shareholder behaviors are all going to affect the timing, the quantity, and the actual decisions. Since most of the viewers are watching my videos for the first time, it is important for them to consider all these factors. So with that being said, let's begin with today's topic. So Mullen operates within the EV manufacturing, distribution, and marketing kind of sectors. It acts as a holding company for several brands that they have bought along the way, the last one being Electric Last Mile Service. So the company first began operating in 2014 as a successor to Coda Automotive. Another previous venture was called Mullen Motorcars, getting into EV supercars as early as back in 2007. It's convincing to say that Mullen has been a veteran in the field. At least we can say that, they've been around the block for a long time. The question is, which field they are into and what is their goal, right? And also, do they have the means to stay in the game? The sector is capital intensive and relies on other sectors that have yet to mature and to grow. There are also long-term challenges of keeping the valuations high, avoiding the classification of, just being another car manufacturer. No, they're EV car manufacturers. They're tech companies. This is why they get to have a higher valuation multiplier, all that kind of stuff. So another source of the distrust lies with the CEO himself. He has a track record that suggests that he's more like a hustler rather than the next Elon Musk, and that some of his associates have been having the control of the company. Those are mostly speculative for the time being, but I believe that when there's smoke, there's usually a bit of fire. For more details, you can look up the Hindenburg Research's opinion about Mullen. It doesn't mean that whatever they say is true, but they should at least be incorporated into your decision making. So over the past few days, and I want to say for more than a week at this point, Mullen has been through a rough patch with its price sliding down to get back to 19 cents. And they have managed to stay there for a while now. At the same time, if things are not going far worse, they're also not going much better. And at some point, I feel like it's going to test the patience of shareholders. In my humble opinion, I want to see Mullen going back up to at least 25 cents to 30 cents, and that in a sustained manner before more money should be pumped in. So it remained constant during that period of time, or stagnating, depending on the way you look at it. And the catalysts that we're expecting, such as iGo sales in Europe and vehicles deliveries, they haven't happened yet, or they're insufficient to push the stock price upward in this market environment. In fact, I haven't seen much about the iGo sales or distributions. Hopefully they're going well. Hopefully we're just too ignorant to pick this up, okay? But deep down in my mind, I kind of doubt it. In terms of how long-term price action trends go, despite the recent upward attempts of upward momentums, the company has been having a mostly bearish trend over the past 5 years, having traded between $5 to $10 for some time, peaking around $15 before finally falling to the penny stock level that we're in now. What this tells us is that Mullen has been hard hit by the ongoing stock market downfall, along with its own fundamental weaknesses. This assessment recently begun to change, but in my opinion, it didn't reach a convincing level just yet. And that it still has, to a point, it still has the capacity to explain why Mullen is a stock that I would recommend to trade instead of investing in, regardless of the recent good news that the CEO managed to squeeze in for us. With that being said, I also want to say that given that how things can very quickly change in this field, the idea of investing in Mullen shouldn't be completely ruled out. Or maybe when I say this, I might as well just add that the idea of investing in EV sector shouldn't be completely ruled out. Okay, it's just that with Mullen, maybe the time isn't there yet. So the online community is mostly skeptical towards Mullen, and they had some sparks of optimism at some point. If there's no more EV hype to fuel the stock price to provide liquidity, there isn't much going on, to be honest. So some have also expressed their worries about the lack of transparency Mullen demonstrated in the past. Frankly, they're right. By not disclosing the identity of their key commercial partners, clients, suppliers, the fact that some of their key partners have gone bust, so on and so forth, none of these really help their case. So recently, the CEO came out and announced many things about, how they're going to deliver things to the military, how they're going to distribute cars in Europe, this and that. This may have turned a little bit the tides from hostile to optimistic, but clearly not enough, right? Clearly not enough. And whatever happens now, I would say that we're in a period of time of consolidation. People are waiting for something new, something else that's going to erupt. But for now, we haven't seen this yet. On top of that, the macroeconomic trends within the sector have been under pressure for several reasons, including the increases of interest rates, the capital flight, the conflicts around the world, the supply chain issues, the expectation that there's going to be a recession and that it's going to stick this time and stink. Another factor to look at is how the flagship company of the sector, Tesla, has been doing, or if you will, how popular Elon is. Okay, so EV sector is a relatively new industry with a lot of it still in development, and very often people base their decision on how cool it is or what's the vibes in the industry. More momentum brings more momentum. The idea is to profit from a sector-wide gravy train conducted by Tesla and pulling along the other ones. We have seen on multiple occasions that share prices of NIO, Lucid, Mullen, Xpeng, whatever, they follow a very similar trend to Tesla. So, of course, in this case with Mullen, I'm not entirely sure how serious they're taken. So, this is why it's more a stock to be traded for the swings. Let's also take a brief look at the company's financials because this may also tell us some upcoming events. The company's cash balance decreased somewhat. For now, it's not a major issue. It's going to be a big issue in the years to come because for sure we're going to go through further dilutions. And this is like closely linked to their capacity to bring in money. The liabilities of Mullen has decreased by like $13 million. It didn't really help because during that period of time, the company's price went from like 55 cents down to like 30 cents. So clearly, this is not where people are focusing at. Nevertheless, it's commendable. Okay, I want to say slow claps to Mullen, and hopefully this is gonna be able to like help them sustain for yet another few years. In terms of profitability, the company hasn't made money for like 2 years. And at this point, I would say that this is going to be the biggest issue for them, preventing them to move forward. Because look, as long as this company doesn't make money, it's kind of pointless to talk about whether they can not dilute the shareholders because they don't have a choice. It's either they get positive cash flows from the operations, they take on more debt, or they raise the capital from selling like the equity sales. I think that the last option is the only option that they truly have. Of course, they're never going to say that, but that seems to be the only option that they actually have. Anyway, so overall, I would say that, they're trying their best to keep the ship afloat, but the ship is taking more and more water, and we have, potential storms ahead of us. So right now, it seems like the company will probably go through another few rounds of dilutions in years to come. And if the situation continues to be like they are now, it's possible that this company is going to get delisted from NASDAQ unless they do reverse stock split, which never helps, which is usually a negative sign for the company. Now, their shareholders are mostly retail, and this means that they're volatile, reactive to price action movements. They tend to be overexposed, which means that Mullen is a stock to be traded and to be speculated on. There are some institutional shareholders and their numbers might be increasing, but it's not significant enough to change my mind that Mullen is good for trading, not for long-term holding. Recently, I know that BlackRock increased their holdings. This is significant, but not sufficient to change my mind on this issue. So, at the same time, the lack of significant institutional participation means no trust from the institutional side in a broad sense. Not that it always needs institutional investors to make a company great. Another huge catalyst, and this was the initial reason why I've put in some chips in Mullen, is the size of its short positions. It's relevant because short positions need to be redeemed at some point, okay? Which means there's a reserve of people who have to pay back at some point. There's about 42 or 43 million shares been shorted, and the vast majority of them are traded outside of public exchanges, so far away from institutional traders. The potentials for a short squeeze is therefore significant. It is a phenomenon observed by traders who decide to collectively buy up the price of a stock, forcing those holding the short orders to redeem their positions. The reason why they might have to do this is because the positions are bought from brokers. The shares need to be paid back. The redemption acts as a purchase in the open market, pushing the stock to even higher levels. With that being said, it's really important to control the exposure regardless of how interesting the stock might be. We got to remember that opportunities will always be there, so it's not like you're going to miss the train forever. Doesn't mean that a short squeeze will certainly succeed, of course not. But it's certainly a decent thing for us to base the trade on. So overall, Mullen is a speculative trade for people to make quick gains or losses from. It might have a relevance to start putting in more cash if the share price is maintained for at least 3 to 5 trading days. In the meantime, in addition to the potentials the stock has, we can also remember the potential pitfalls. So right now, the stock has been stabilizing around the 20 cents level, and I would say that if the stock can manage to go up to like 25 to 30 cents between 3 to 5 days at least, this would be a good time to start buying more Mullen shares. I would recommend to commit between 0.5 and 1% of your portfolio in Mullen.